Welcome to this Groundbreakers Live interview and podcast. I'm your host, Javed Mohammed, and I'm very honored to have with us Guillermo Ruiz, who heads up developer relations at Oracle. Guillermo, welcome.
Hello, Javed. Thanks for the invitation.
Thank you for attending. So, Guillermo, I think for the folks who are out there, it would be nice to give a little background about yourself, share with us where you live, where you were before you came to Oracle. I believe you've been here around 4 years or so. Um,
Yeah, sure. I'm based in Madrid, Spain. I've been in Oracle for the last 4 years, but before joining in the cloud space, I was working for Huawei, the Chinese company, helping on developing their cloud business unit for West Europe. And somehow I ended up doing migrations of data centers from South America to Madrid, something I was doing like 15 years ago. Was just trying to get back those feelings of the old work. And I've been I've been coming from infrastructure. I started my journey as a network engineer, and I always say that I reached this position from failure. No, so it's like every time you fail, you get the lessons learned, you improve, and you get to something new. And there's a speech that I did for some kids on leadership, saying, "Hey, you can you can be successful just by failing."
mhm.
Uh, and I think that's the best lessons that people can have out there. So I grow into the automation and now into the software development. It's a strange journey, but I've been there. But now we're heading the developer relations at Oracle. And I think that was something that we really needed in the company. We have a lot of developer relations advocates in different product teams, organizations, but I think that people was receiving uh, feedback from different people, not merged into or consolidated or providing a single voice of where Oracle is driving with developers there. So now this new organization that Oracle announced like 4 months ago, or 4, 3, it aims to bring a platform to raise the visibility and amplify what our teams are doing at Oracle for developers, but also to bring back the voice of developers into the company and just tell this is working, this is not working, this is what we were expecting.
Mhm.
So I think it's a fun journey that we are about to launch in the incoming months. Huh?
Right. In the larger realm of things that we deal with the developer community, and I was just kind of curious, what is your take? What does community mean to you?
Community is everything. It's a space where you can collaborate. It's a space where we join together, you solve problems, you help other peers to find the right place. One of the things I was seeing, and I missed that from what I've seen so far inside Oracle, and that's something we're trying to change, is like I don't see we have a early block access. Every time I launch a service, I want to bring my advocates in advance to check with them, have a beta testing program where they can test our solutions, our new services, give me feedback, link our community directly with product management and engineering. Why don't we have a Slack channel where you just can shoot and say, hey, this is not working. Oh, I'm finding these problems. How do you fix that?
Mhm.
There's not such a one-to-one conversation, and that's what we want to bring back. I think that we really need to be close, and people need to be part of what we are developing.
Okay. So along the same kind of lines, I want to ask you because everyone has a different understanding about developers, and again, how do you think of developers? Is it a kind of a more of a very strict kind of definition, or is it kind of a very broad understanding?
Developer is everybody.
Hmm.
I always say that it's like Nike that says that everybody can be an athlete. You just put your shoes and run.
Uh-huh.
No, no, but no matter your body, your shape, everything. I
Hmm.
think everybody can be developer. You can. For me, a developer is someone that instead of seeing a problem, sees an opportunity.
Hmm.
I always talk about the Renaissance. Michelangelo was a developer. He mixed his technical skills with creativity and built some of the most amazing things we've seen in our story.
Hmm.
That's what I understand. Nowadays, people think that developer is the guy that is a software developer building stack of application stuff. That's one part, but you have also infrastructure developer. You have local platform developers. You have a bunch of different areas
Hmm.
that is not covered under single definition. So for me, a developer is end user. You guys, you do, for example, an Excel sheet and you do a macro, you can be a developer. It's
Wow.
like baby steps, and from there you can grow and grow your career path on the developer space.
Okay. And so obviously you're building a good sized team within Oracle, and obviously size is always relative, but share with us a little bit about like what is your vision for the developer relations at Oracle.
Well, we
So
have three key goals
uh-huh,
from a DevRel perspective.
hmm
One is to provide a collaboration space for our communities and our advocates, a
hmm
place where you can find the right information, the right technical content, no sales pitch, no marketing, remove all that shit. We don't care. Show me what things I can do with your technology. Put fun things there to do. On the other side, we have the engagement, how we engage with developers, but it's not only with external people.
hmm
It's how we challenge our own employees to be more proactive, helping and supporting open source projects that have nothing to do with Oracle. So we are building some initiative to remove any friction inside Oracle to allow our employees to start being more active on open source. And then the third one is the educational. I
hmm
think that Oracle has been long time well known in universities and business schools,
hmm
that when you talk about Java and database, it's more than that. We are creating a global developer education program that not only targets universities and business schools, we are going down the educational program and vocational schools. I think that's a uh, it's a huge opportunity on that side. High schools, even we are developing a kids program, so kids
hmm
between 6 and 12 years can start learning to build games. I really think that learning by playing is the right approach we should be taking in all these different layers of education.
Okay. So the community out there is obviously diverse. It's spread out. So you mentioned the three areas: the developer collaborative space, community engagement, and then the global developer education program. So just from as with anything, thing it takes time to put things together. So what can people kind of expect, kind of in the short, medium,
Yeah,
you
it's going.
uh-huh.
Yeah, it's going to take us a bit of time in the sense that we are fixing some what I think are some foundational problems.
hmm
Uh, Oracle has many places where you can learn stuff. You have MySQL, MySQL, LiveSQL, Astom,
hmm
other community platforms, but somehow they don't provide that unique navigation path.
hmm
So it's like people knows where they need to go, but they don't have a clear picture of what else can I do. I
hmm
know this is my space, but what Oracle can offer there. So one of the things we're trying to work is to build what I call the umbrella project. That
hmm
is, let's sit on top of all these platforms. Let's connect them internally. Let's provide a navigation path. Let's. Uh, One of the things I'm trying is like we don't have behavioral patterns in the way I want to understand when you navigate in my site what you're looking for, but I don't want to ask you like, hey Javed, what are you? Tell me your top priorities. That's not a 21st century company.
hmm
More time that people spend in your platform, better you get to know them. And what I want to ensure is that if you're looking for Python, that you always find the right content that motivates you to keep doing things with us. We need to fix those internal problems that we have right now that will really help to set the foundation of what we want to build on top. But we're going to do more things. I think that the advocacy programs, we need to revamp it, include things like the early block access, beta testing, as we mentioned earlier, but also a certification committee steering. Why our developers cannot be part of the process of how we build our certification? Let us help to keep updates and keep the pool of questions and scenarios. We are planning to have a expert certification program.
hmm
Why not our top advocates can be part of that committee
hmm
that we're building? So those are things that I think we are missing right now that we want to leverage. And over the next few months, you will see few things coming along the way, a new look and feel that we're going to provide. And I hope people likes it. For example, we already reach out people that is Oracle and non-Oracle advocates
hmm
just to get their feedback and say, this is what we're planning. What do you think about that? And we capture that feedback. You cannot, I'm not building this for developers. I'm building this with developers. So this is just something that we need to ensure that we give you the right platform.
uh-huh.
My goal is to be in the backstage and just ensuring that you always have the right content, the right materials, how you can keep learning, doing stuff with our technology.
Okay, great. So, in preparation for this call, I actually reached out to the community also, and I said, I've got this wonderful one-on-one time with G. what kind of questions would you like to ask him? So we're not going to be able to go through all of them, but I'll just ask you a few of them. So the first one says, I represent three spheres: business, education, and the IT community. And this goes back to the, your global developer education program. So you're saying, for education, are there programs for teachers and students besides Oracle Academy program material for developers?
We need to leverage Oracle Academy.
Mhm,
As I mentioned, they were used to do Java and database. I think we need to go further.
mhm,
What look, I remember my first question in my first interview. That
mhm,
was, hey Jay, what makes you different of the other 200 telecom engineers
mhm,
that are in this interview? And that's true. You have the same skill set. There's nothing that makes you unique.
mhm,
And I want to provide that experience for students, meaning that, hey, here's a DevOps training. But it's a DevOps that is not Oracle related, CI/CD, login, observability, those kind of things that can help you to find a job in any other company, even in my competitors. But I want to ensure that you have the right skills to develop a new work out there. But that comes now with the certification. We're going to give certification for free for the people that pass our course in the universities and schools.
mhm.
But that will help me also for the internship program. Why don't we link, if you do my course, you pass the certification, that's like a tick in the box and say, hey, you can be part of our internship program. But not only Oracle, why don't we bring ISVs and partners? Why don't we put more people in our ecosystem to work on that? That gives more opportunities to people to really understand what's Oracle world, which I think that it still has a perception that is not the updated perception of what we're running since the last 4 years. It's a totally game changer what we are doing right now in Oracle, and we're moving, and that's something people need to understand. It's not anymore a database company, and I might get fired by Larry if he hears this. Now it's a platform company which runs a lot of products from Oracle, but it also runs workloads that are not Oracle related, open source tools. I need to ensure we have those things there. But then there's something that we want to introduce also in universities, not just this path. It's, hey, why don't we give credits to to the universities based on the people that takes our course, so we can create R&D programs that we can help them leverage new things, new tools, new applications using Oracle's platform.
Okay. Next one is the question. It says, which communication and feedback channels are the most important in the current times? And I guess we could say there's just so many of them, but any take on that?
Well, where does people look when they look for information? You always go to Google or YouTube. Those are like the main search engines there
Yes.
where you can find uh, solutions to your problem. But there's other kind of platform. Something that we've not been doing and we're going to start doing is live streaming. Why don't we show people in Discord, Twitch, other platforms, social media, how Oracle builds solutions? Let people come, ask questions, have like this live streaming, have something similar from a developer perspective.
Hmm.
So for us, any social media platform, you can have different habits, but what we are looking on YouTube, Google, it's like, let's stop trying to create our own search engines and just use where developers are.
Great. The next question, it says, what did G learn from his experience building data centers around the world?
Well, I've always been in projects that nobody wanted to take.
Uh-huh.
So it was like jumping into the mud, going for 1 week and finding that you have to spend 1 month in a foreign country due to all the problems.
Hmm.
I think that those challenges bring the experience of not living in the comfort zone.
Hmm.
It's like I remember the first big one we built in Switzerland. It was so far. It was when Cisco brought their new Nexus devices. I think it was 2010, something like that. And I was just diving into that. And someone came and said, "Gee, you want to take this? It could be a $12 million project, but we don't have people on Nexus." I said, "Let's do it." And I was just learning there. So I had to take and build something by improving. The cool thing is that those lessons learned, we put it in US in a larger program with other data centers. So it's always like building data center is really fun.
Uh-huh.
Uh, when we start building cloud nodes, like I was working for cloud for Computer Science Corporation. It was the early days where we were fighting against Amazon. So we're the two leaders in the infrastructure space for Gartner. And I remember building two two nodes in in Denmark. But those no, we used to have like 15 days. You have everything cabled, devices are up there. Just 2 weeks we can go in production. Everything was automated. That comes from the lessons of being successful by failing. We automated the whole thing and we were really good on that. But somehow we find that this data center in Denmark, we had to put it in 7 days up and running. And we had some huge penalties if we were not committed to do that. So we had to go the extra mile. I remember like sleeping 6 hours in 3 days.
Whoa.
It takes you into a burnout situation. Let's be honest. When you have so aggressive timelines and that kind of penalties, we made it. We went into production now as I would expect, to be honest, but we were able to commit with that customer. But there was a point at saying, does it really make sense to build all those things? There was a podcast that I used to tell other guys that happened in Romania, something similar. Building a data center was just the final configuration put there, and I found that the data center was even in building works.
Mhm.
They didn't even have the walls. And I spent there like 1 month. And somehow I turned into the point of contact for any company that was landing there, was like, geez, the guy. I was like, why? I'm like you. I came just to build my stuff, but there's no proactive. What I find sometimes that people doesn't jump out of the box and start doing things that it was like, hey, this is a customer data center. Let's help him to make all this successful.
Wow. So, a lot of lessons and a lot of experiences. I want to move on to the next question.
Uh-huh.
It says, "What's the most interesting?" Sorry, ask G about his passion and involvement in the Otillo race. Can you comment on that?
Oh, yeah, that's like heaven in earth. Otillo is the swim run world championship. So the same you have like Kona for Ironman, Otillo is for swim run. It's a race that it's in the Stockholm archipelago. It's 75 kilometers race, so you spend 65 running and 10 swimming between islands. You go over more than 24 islands,
Hmm.
and it's more than 8 hours when you see people. You partner with your peer, so it's in couples, but it's you go with your new friend. So you're running the island, you get to the end of the island. Now you need to swim, but you don't change your stuff. You just go as you with your accessories and your stuff. And I think that mixing nature with the challenges of your body and mental, because it's one of the toughest races out there.
Wow.
I found it fun. I got in love. I went for the first time, I think was 2015, to Engadin in Switzerland.
Uh-huh.
It was one of the qualifiers, and I think it was the second time they were doing there. I was part of the race logistics, helping with the course, with the racers, with the briefing and all the things, and I fell in love. It was like, oh my gosh, I love this sport. So then I started joining the world championship there, and I would love to get our technology there. It's like I think there are things that technology can help improve, but it's a way of, in an analogy world, well, I would say the way around. In a digital world, having something analogy is amazing. It's
Yeah.
just the nature, your peer, and just competing there. And it's not going against nature. You need to flow there. There's some strict rules. We take care of nature. And if you drop a plastic, we can disqualify you from the race. And you are in the world championship and you just throw something out of the course, and we just say you're banned. So I really enjoy that. It's like, for me has been, I just take holidays. And my wife laughs. It's like, you're taking holidays to give water to people that you don't even know. I was like, it's more than that. It's 5 days that I just think on this. I execute. I don't have to think in the job, in the work, not even in the family. Sorry for that and apologize in advance. But it's a way as I can recharge batteries, and I really come like a new guy every time I go to that.
Great. I really like how you're bringing the digital and analog worlds together. So the next question is what's the most interesting part about working in DevRel?
Wow, that's a good question. It's how we can change
Hmm.
the future, how we can innovate, and how we can really have an impact in society. It's not about business, that of course there's a part there that that's why the companies build it. But it's also, if I can change things because we have philanthropic projects and we are doing some cool stuff linking with other people there, that's the most rewarding thing here. I want to ensure that my kids
Hmm.
can really realize that we just have one planet and we need to use technology in that way. It's how we can have a sustainable world. There are even more and more population. We just suffered COVID for the last year. We just broke the whole nature, and now we are seeing virus that we never expected there. And they
Mhm.
are saying that we will face this more and more. We have the great opportunity from a developer relations to influence, to collaborate, to exchange with people, to create a whole program that can help us keeping this world up and
Great.
running.
Oh, a wonderful and a very important message. So you mentioned COVID, and actually the next two are related questions relating to that. So the first one says, how do you keep contact with customers and end users now that conferences are only virtual? And the second one says, for business and community, what's the plan of Oracle developer team for the coming 3 years? Will COVID-19 impact your plans? So again, it's just.
Well,
Hmm?
COVID has changed the way we interact and communicate with people. But thanks to this kind of technology like Zoom, we can have a more one-to-one conversation. You don't need to really fly and spend 8 hours in an airplane just to have a 2 hours meeting. Now we can have more meetings a day with customers and we do whiteboards and stuff. I just point my camera to my whiteboard. We design, we go over future solutions and things like that. I
Mhm.
think it changed that one-to-one. Being virtual is not the same as being there, but I think that people is adapting to these new ways. From a community perspective, we used to have in-person events. I don't think that will come in the next year, to be honest. I think there's no results of or guarantee that you can safely get back to events like 10,000 people, 15,000 people. I think that's gone over. So now we need to adapt and find new ways of communicating.
Okay. And as I said, there were many questions, but I'll make this the last question. And so it says, are there any plans on increasing the presence of developer advocates in Latin America?
Oh, sure.
Mhm.
Yeah. One of the things we're building is this metric platform so that we can ensure that we approach every community in the right way. Uh, I don't like the way that, for example, you build a campaign around Kubernetes, but maybe Kubernetes is just specific for some countries and Brazil is looking for different things. Maybe they are just on Apex and they are more local developers. We really need to learn and know what our people is looking for and provide that. It needs to be more an ad hoc and be a seamless experience of how they navigate through our technology and our project. So yeah, Latin America, it's we're investing in our data centers there. The last one was Chile. You already had in Brazil, and it might be coming more data centers in the incoming year. So yeah,
Okay. So, G, thank you so much for giving us your time. You have a great vision and mission. I have to ask you one last question. You mentioned you live in Madrid. Are you a Real Madrid fan?
well, yeah, there's a story that I don't share too much that my grandfather died while watching a Champions League match
Uh-huh.
when my dad was a kid. So in my
Wow.
family, nobody can be from other team that is not Real Madrid. When you're a kid and say, I want to be from Atletico, that is the other team in the city, they always remind you that, hey, your grandfather died because of this team. I was like, that should be the right reason to be from other team, right?
Uh-huh.
Now, jokes aside, yeah, all my family is from Real Madrid, and uh, it's in our DNA.
All right.
But I'm not very football fan, to be honest.
Mhm.
I prefer basketball.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, G, thank you so much for giving us your time and all the best.
Hey, thanks for the time and thanks for the invitation. Take
Absolutely.
care.
Bye-bye.
Cheers.